Welcome to the Sharpe Way show. It is Monday evening, 7 p.m. on the East Coast. So yes, it is Monday AMA. Mama, does that sound cool, Mama? It is today. Ask me anything Monday. I'm so happy that you guys have come here. As always, I'm going to ask you for the same thing. Like, comment, share, click that like, that hate, that whatever button you want to pick. Pick that button so that people know that we are here. Get those algorithms going so we can grow this podcast as long as we can possibly grow the show. I appreciate it. If you've got the cash, as always, please support me on Patreon, patreon.com/sharpeway. Whatever you can give is awesome. If you can't give, no worries. You can just go to my sponsors, theadvocates.org. Head on over there. Take the world's smallest quiz. Share it with your friends and family. Everybody's happy, and it's free. Today, Monday, AMA. I want to bring up an idea, concept that I've been thinking about recently. Since the last crash that we had, 2009, 10, 11, in that area, a lot of people called it, just as a name that people called it, was also called the attack on men, or the men's recession, because so many men were affected by that recession compared to women, right? Women, of course, were affected by it, but relatively more men were put out of work. More men were affected. More men's careers were ended in that 2009, 2010 crash. When that happened, it was almost an accelerant to what was already happening, which was women in America particularly, but across the world, but really in America, were really on the rise, and are on the rise, and have been on the rise for decades. Please, I want to be clear. I'm not saying women have achieved the equal status that they want to achieve. I'm not saying that. I'm simply saying there's been an increase for decades, and it really began to explode even more after the crash. You found more and more women with, higher education degrees, more and more women with entrepreneurs, more and more women in senior positions. And you look even now at the most recent situation, where you have many women vice president. Women were running for president in the last two elections. The last two victorious presidential candidates, their campaign managers, women. So you're seeing that growth of women in pop culture. So many women who are amazing artists. Many more movies with leads that are women heroes in our books and comics and TV shows and such. Much more of that. You saw that. That is happening. And it really began to explode even more after the last crash. It became even more obvious. And something I was always saying to my wife all the time, as she knows I do hiring and firing, I was saying consistently the best talent that I could find, far more than I would say 20 years ago, far more often the best talent that I find is women. It's female talent. Very common. And that's in any job that I'm hiring for. Very often I find a lot more women talent than I find male talent. So why am I saying this? Because I'm concerned that with all the growth, and that's clearly going in the right direction with women in the past 20, 30 years, clearly, and even more in the past 10, that the government response to COVID this time around, this crisis that has hit us, that it may be the reverse. That this may be stifling for women. So many of them have lost their jobs, and not just that, so many of them have chosen to stay home and not go back into the workforce. So many of them decided to either stay home or not go to work out of fear or stay with children. So many more women, again, compared to men. Men have too. This is not a black and white situation. This is a percentage-based situation, right? Where many more women by percentage are deciding to opt out of the workforce more than they did in the past, and far more than men are opting to get out of the workforce. Is this going to make it even harder for women? Is this going to kind of back up, or maybe are they going to regress a bit? Are women in America going to regress a bit because of this? I don't actually have an answer to that. I was bringing this up because I thought this might be something serious. This might be something we might want to be looking at. Is this crisis, the crisis that 10 or 11 years ago devastated men more than women? Will this one devastate women more than men? And can we learn from the last one and try to be ready for that? Because you saw not only was the devastation in men financial, it was, but not only that, that eventually ended up in massive rates, a huge increase in things like suicide, drug addiction, all in men, more than women. Again, this is a percentage piece. Is this going to happen again with women? Should we be prepared for that now? Thinking that way now. That was a piece that I wanted to bring up. And let me grab a couple questions here, but comments if I can. So, Trump. Thank you, Joseph. I'm not sure what that meant, but thank you. Hey, Larry. Hey, how are you doing? Good. COVID, women, Trump. Oh, Larry, you're going to trigger some people. Maybe. Yes, maybe. And I'm okay. Look, to be forward, I want to be able to talk about all these issues. All of them. Nothing. There's nothing away. There's no way I don't want to talk about these issues. They're important to talk about. Doesn't mean we have to take government action, Joe. I'm not necessarily saying that. Or even take a side. But maybe we want to be prepared emotionally to deal with things that we can see coming, right? I mean, I look at the COVID response. You put people in a desperate situation and they act desperately. Yeah. If we're going to put women in a tough spot, if that's going to happen, let's not be surprised when they act out accordingly if we do that. And let's be prepared for that to fix this if we can, right? See if we can fix this. So 4 years, no new war, best since Carter. It's funny you say that, Mr. Werewolf, if that's your name. I like that, Werewolf. It's one of the things I've said before, right? People get upset usually if I ever compare Carter to Trump. They get upset. While Trump didn't end, all the wars, that's true, he didn't. But he didn't start new ones. It's a valid point. I'll say it every time. And that's the one good thing I'll say about Carter. I'm not a huge Carter fan, but I will give the man credit where credit is due. He didn't start any wars. He didn't bomb people. I'll give him that. I'll give him that credit where credit is due. Absolutely. Yes. Perfectly to tell the wife. Is she around? Maybe she's watching. I could get in trouble. So yes, absolutely. All right. I couldn't comment quick enough. The reaction by the government to COVID has been disastrous to career women. Yeah. See, Janie, it's not just me. Thank you, guys. Janie, thank you. This is exactly what I'm concerned about. And that what the government's trying to do by saying, here's money or whatever is going to be their answer or their attempt at an answer, it's not going to get women back into the workforce. And one of the reasons, and obviously there are many, but Jane, I'm sure you get this, one of the reasons why women don't make as much money as men, one of them is that statistically, they will pull themselves out of the workforce more often for longer periods of time than men do, right? As a group. Well, now with the COVID response, they're making that worse. So whatever is going to take to get women to that par, now it's harder, right? The government's just made it tougher for women because more of them now, percentage-wise, are going to pull themselves out of the workforce for longer periods of time in an environment where change happens so quickly. And those of you who've been out of the workforce for 2 or 3 or 4 years, you've seen it. Change happens so quickly in many environments, clearly not every industry, but in many industries, that if you're out of your industry for 3 or 4 years, if you're not in it in some way, online, attending trade association groups, still talking with people in the industry, you struggle to get back in. It doesn't matter if you're a male or a female. It doesn't matter what gender. It doesn't matter. If you are out of your industry for 2, 3, 4 years, depending upon your industry, it's really tough to get back in there. And then people who were your juniors and now your peers, or who were your peers and now your seniors, and I deal with that dynamic. And if your industry isn't large enough, to get back with the same people, then what people thought of you 4 years ago, they still think of you now. You're a different person than you were 4 years ago. But their image is the same if your industry is small and they've all moved up and you haven't. This is absolutely true. And this is my worry. How do we make that happen? Do we encourage women to become entrepreneurs? That has been something that's worked in the past. Maybe that's the answer, right? We encourage women to get up and create, ideas or situations or environments to get women to be more entrepreneurial. That's one answer. I don't know if that is the answer, but that could be one. Or maybe we change childcare. Maybe we have better answers for childcare, because one of the biggest reasons why women tend to step out of the workforce is because of children. So if we create an environment maybe that has simpler, easier, cheaper, safer childcare. Who was running for governor in 2018 talking about that? Oh, right, me. Yes, if you have actually a better way of providing childcare for women, you'll find more of them choose to get back into the workforce versus staying home or staying out of the workforce. Thank you for bringing that up. See, I am crazy, but I was we're both crazy. How about that? There we go. In the case of the family unit, having one less paycheck is terrible. Yes, right. And that would be the other issue. If we had an environment to where that wasn't true, to where either parent could go to work, make a decent amount of money, and not be so concerned. The problem is, for most people to make a lot of money, you have to have a career path. You can't just work. There's some exceptions, but the vast majority of times, you need to have a career path. So for many people, it's not realistic for, say, dad to take off for 2 years, then mom to take off for 2 years. That often crushes both, right? So you'd rather have one stay in the workforce. Most of the time it's the male, but sometimes the female, obviously. But you'd rather have one stay in the workforce consistently than have them bounce back and forth. I agree. If only one paycheck was okay, you wouldn't be that concerned. Maybe you'd have, one parent working to do part-time to stay involved, right? To stay in his or her industry so they don't get left behind as things keep changing. Absolutely. Well, and many of those women are forced to place their children rear ends in seats in front of the Zoom sessions with teachers as mayors, governors flip up when the schools go remote or not. Yes. See, David, and there's the other part. I'm not anti-teacher. I'm not anti-teacher. I'm very often anti-mayor or governor, but I'm not anti-teacher. I am anti-administrator often. But now the teachers, administrators, mayors, and governors, they're all getting their full salary still, right? They're getting their full salary while the mom or dad can't because they've got to be home with the kid as they're sitting in front of Zoom. I'm lucky. My wife was already home, so I'm lucky in that regard, right? And I do a lot of work now because my governor, who I am anti-governor, see, that one I'm anti-governor. My governor deemed me non-essential months ago. So I've had to do most of my work remotely anyway. So in my case, I'm lucky. My kids, I have 2 of them. They have 2 parents at home. So if they want to sit in front of Zoom or do homework, we can be there. We can change our schedules to be there. But I'm lucky. What about those who aren't in that situation? I'm fortunate to be able to do that. There are literally tens of millions of households in this country that can't do that. Yes, absolutely. In our area, public schools have not been open. It's been mostly moms who have had to give up their jobs to support their kids in Zoom school. Yes. And I'll go back to what I've said before, and I brought this up a long time ago, and I'll bring it up again. If we had supported homeschooling, particularly in New York State, across the country in general is not very good. New York State's terrible. If we had supported the homeschooling industry in New York State, strongly, not just said, everybody go home, but there are thousands of parents who want to and can homeschool their children. They want to and they can. Good for you if you're in that situation. Awesome on you. Why didn't we as a state support this industry, this cottage industry, heavily? If you support this industry heavily, now when we need them, every community would already have people who know how to homeschool, who are already home doing this. In fact, if I'm the dad who stays home and teaches science and social studies, which is what I teach my kids. So if that's what I was doing here, right? And that was part of what I did for a living, well, I'll take your kids too, Janie. Bring them over. I don't need a whole bunch of money because I'm doing it for free already. Throw me $100 a month, maybe. And you just basically got free childcare. And I'm making a bunch of money. I get 5, 6 kids. I'm making $500 a month. What I was doing for free anyway. Now I'm helping your kid. I'm homeschooling them. All of a sudden now we're building local schools. And you get to go to work still because if you know me and we trust each other in our community, then you go to work. And I get to take care of your kid. Who was talking about that in 2018? This guy was. If we would have done that, we would have been able to be more resilient when this came. Absolutely true. Yes. Shutting down bars, restaurants, hotels this time will definitely be hurting women more than men. Yes. Percentage-wise. Absolutely true. Yes. Many of those workers are women. Absolutely. Many of those workers are winning. 100%. Yes. Absolutely. Hey, Jay. Hi, Jay. Hope you can see me. I'm yelling back. Hi. Yes, good to see you, of course. Yes. Patricia says, I'm a single parent and single income household. I don't have the option to stay home. Yes. Right? Yes. And you aren't alone. There are many people who are having that same problem, that same issue and concern. Right? And if we would have supported homeschooling, private schooling to be in tandem, right along with public schooling, we would have been able to deal with this a whole lot better. If we would have had a child care system available via nonprofits that I was talking about 3 years ago, that would have allowed you, Patricia, to go to places, nonprofits that you trust to drop your child off, things would then change. Again, assuming that you trusted them, you could go there. It would give you more options. And that's what someone like you in your situation, what you need is flexibility and you need options. Oh, how would I know that? Because I was raised by a single mom. I know exactly what you're talking about. And my mom needed the flexibility for a knucklehead like me as a kid. It's exactly right. 100%. Larry, when that pub owner on Staten Island was arrested, I was hoping the LP would lead the charge in defending our civil liberties. How do we organize and lead the charge? Well, to be forward with you, on Staten Island, the Republican Party jumped the gun on that already. They just did. Staten Island's very Republican. For those of you who don't know that about New York City, Staten Island is probably the last, not probably, it's the last Republican holdout in New York City, is Staten Island. So they were already on there before we would have, there was no way we could have jumped on board. The Republican Party all of a sudden became libertarian after that happened. But look, I'm not going to complain. At least somebody's fighting. If I can get Republicans to act libertarian sometimes, I'm in. So I'm not that upset. It's fine. But I agree. The other issue is New York City does not have a very active or large libertarian party yet. We're still working on that, Avi. I wish we were strong. We're not as strong as I'd like us to be. We are working on it to where we hopefully can react faster. For those who don't know, there was a Staten Island pub owner. I've forgotten his name. Presti, maybe is his last name. Priesty is his last name. He was arrested for basically defying Governor Cuomo's orders. And the Republican Party still has people out there. So they're doing that. I guess we could join them, I guess. But I don't know how effective we'll be. The problem that we have as libertarians is when we go with other parties, when the media covers us, they don't cover us, they cover the other party. So we're just there. We have to be the ones to get there first, online, up front. Then it works. Andrew, I took the advocates.com quiz, and I am registered for the Conservative Party's Libertarian Party. I'm registered? Okay. I'm still supporting the Libertarian Party regardless of me being a conservative. So you got conservative. Yeah. Yes, I've taken the test with other people. If you saw last Friday, I had Neil Wood take the test. Came out progressive. People think the test is made to make you libertarian. It isn't. It's made for you to do what you want. By the way, it's theadvocates.org, just for clarity, and I will show you in case you are confused by that. Theadvocates.org. That test is not made for you to pop up libertarian. It will show if you are, absolutely, but a lot of people, about 30% or 35% of the people that take the test come up moderate, because most Americans, and that's a plurality of Americans, not most, a plurality of Americans are actually moderate. So about 35% actually pop up moderate. But some come up libertarian, some come up, very few come up authoritarian. It's actually, believe it or not, even though Americans sometimes really act authoritarian, the average American, very few of us are actually authoritarian. The plurality of us pop up moderate. Then it's like, then I think libertarian might be second, and then it's a mix between liberal and conservative, progressive and conservative. So I'm glad you took it, Andrew. It's not made for us to, it's not made for you to become a libertarian. I hope you all become libertarian, but it's made to show you who you actually are. So I'm glad. And to be forward, Andrew, a lot of people who are conservative or who are liberal can still be libertarian as long as they don't want to force their view on others. That's the issue. So, yes. Cash Jackson, how are you, brother? Good Good seeing you. Yes. Let's see here. Of course, yes. Thank you, Pete. National debt, $27 trillion and climbing. Absolutely. Have you considered the Constitution Party? I think he's talking about Andrew, I think. But in the case of the Constitution Party, I actually had the Constitution Party presidential candidate for 2020 on the show. If you want to look back on the Sharpe Way YouTube page, you will see I had Don Blankenship on. If you want to see what he had to say, I interviewed him for about an hour and a half, maybe an hour and a half. If you want to see what he had to say regarding the Constitution Party. So there we go. The advocates.org says I'm libertarian. Yes, me too, Joe. Me too. My struggle is not having a bachelor's degree. I need a bachelor's to excel career-wise. I have 10 years work experience in human services and a business administration associate's degree. Yeah, you can struggle with that, Patricia. You really can. And when you're looking at places like that, if people ask me all the time, so those who don't know, I used to teach in college, and I actually taught a class at Columbia and Yale's graduate school for a short time. And during those classes, people often ask me, Larry, should I get an MBA? Larry, should I get a bachelor's degree? Larry, should I? And the question you should ask yourself before you decide this: if you have a bachelor's degree and you are considering an MBA, if you're considering an advanced degree like an MBA or something, ask yourself this question: are you planning to move forward in a large organization? Do you want to move forward, say, in government, or in a big business, or in a large accounting firm, or something like that? Do you want to do that type of thing? If you go, yeah, that's what I want to do. MBA, good idea. You should do it. That big organizations, they respect it. They care about it. It matters. Larry, should I get an advanced degree in general? Well, generally speaking, is your field law or finance, and sometimes tech, depending upon if it overlaps those two. If it does, you probably do. Advanced degrees tend to work. Engineering, good idea. Law, good idea. Big business, good idea. But if you like small business and or you want to be more entrepreneurial or you want to be more of a consultant, getting an advanced degree is almost always a waste of time and money. And that people get mad when I say that. It's still true. If you want to be a consultant, anything like that, entrepreneurial, small business, advanced degrees are a waste of your time and a waste of your money. You're going to debt for nothing. How do I know this? That's what I am. I've taught at Ivy League schools. I've been in the office in a public company. I have a bachelor's degree in anthropology from the University of Maryland, which is not a bad school, but it's not Ivy League. That's my background, right? Because I've always been entrepreneurial. I'm a consultant. That's my world. Advanced degrees are useless for me. They're a waste of time and money. I need to go out and do things. But if you want to work your way up in an organization, advanced degrees are a really good idea. So you want to think about what you're trying to achieve in your world. Now, Patricia, to be forward, when it comes to a bachelor's degree, unless you are going to be in a very specific field that requires a specific bachelor's, what you get your degree in is irrelevant. And people will get mad at me. Doesn't matter. I'm still right. It's irrelevant unless you have a specific field you're trying to get into. Then that changes. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. As I said, mine's in anthropology. It's irrelevant. Doesn't matter. With that in mind, you can even get one online. If you're trying to check a box, and for many organizations, a bachelor's degree is a box checker, right? Just checks about, does she have one? I would look at any way you can get an online degree to finish up your time to get your bachelor's degree. Then rethink, is it time to go to the next level? You might go say, but Larry, I want a degree in this thing. I want a degree in, HR or organizational skills, whatever the case may be. In my opinion, Patricia, don't worry about that. Get the closest you can to it to check that box. Then consider an advanced degree. Whatever it takes, the closest. If you can test out online, get the checkbox first, then think about your advanced degree. Having the bachelor's will open up some more doors for you so you can make that next step. Plus, there's something else. If you're raising your child, I don't remember if you have a son or a daughter, but you're raising your child, if you want your child to get educated, you having the checkbox bachelor's degree is enough of an example for them to go, I should do it too, versus you not having one and then telling them to do it, right? You want to be able to set the example. So my opinion on this would be, get that degree any way it takes. Doesn't matter what it's in. Then once you've got the checkbox, rethink your future, decide if you want to go further or not. So I hope that was helpful. I do coach people sometimes, so I guess just threw it out there. I apologize. Maybe it wasn't a good thing. The IRS sent $12 stimulus check to random European citizens. Is that right? I should have got 2 checks. I gotta have another name. That's what it is. I love it. Another name. I know of 6 local women-owned businesses that have permanently closed due to California's COVID shutdown. Yes, it is. I mean, people trying their best. The problem is so many people are sitting here saying things like, I feel bad for people who can't travel, right? Who can't see their friends and family. I do too. I agree. That's bad. But compared to this, not the end of the world. For someone like who's lost their business, that's that Island guy. I might have been 2 people. I'm not sure, but I think it was 1. He put $150,000 into that business last year. $150,000 into that business last year. Now he's gone. It's over. Imagine you took $150,000, threw it in the garbage, and they got a criminal record on top because you got arrested. How would you feel? You put people in desperate situations and wonder why they act desperately. This is what happens. Absolutely. During the last crash, people with PhDs were in an unemployment orientation with me. Yes, I agree, because that was my whole point about education, right? Depends upon where you want to go. And most people will tell you, well, you want to make sure you have a job for safety. That hasn't been true in decades. Having a job doesn't mean you're safe. Having a job means right now you have a job, right? Well, Larry, I can't do what you do. There's no security. There's no security in what you do either. That's how it works, right? It's a different lifestyle, and you need to pick the lifestyle that you feel works best for you. As a general rule, again, PhDs, unless you're in a very specific industry, is a colossal waste of time and money. Specific industries make sense, but if you're not in a specific industry, it's just a waste of time. And when you look for the smaller businesses, I'm not making this up, Patricia. Smaller businesses, it's a no hire. I'm not joking. They look at it and go, PhD? No. This, by the way, was happening 12 or 15 or 20 years ago. It's beginning to happen in small tech firms who are looking for people who are hungry, who want to do cool things and be creative and do awesome things. They actually had, at this point, this is probably 15 years ago, they were looking at, oh no, you have a master's in computer science? No hire. Doesn't matter where it's from. No hire. That was happening already in very small, aggressive companies. But that mindset is growing and has been growing for the past 15 years or so. And now a lot of companies now looking and going, PhD, we don't want you. You're heavily in debt. You're accustomed to doing analyzing things. You don't do any actual work. That's their mindset. I'm not saying it's true. Each PhD is obviously a different person and as an individual. I'm saying the image that people get is, oh yeah, you just want to read books all day. That's the image people get of a PhD, and if they're in that world. Now there are obvious exceptions. As I mentioned, teaching, it's a great idea to get a PhD. Most sciences, not all, but most, great idea to get a PhD. Medical, obviously, great idea to get a PhD. So there are fields where it's a great idea, but there's specific fields. Otherwise, it's basically a waste of time. So I hope that was helpful at least. Yes. This is exactly what I've been challenged with this year. Kids at home. Yep. Started a new career in insurance and everything has collided. It's been devastating for us financially with 3 children. Sarah, I feel horrible. I get it. We have to come up with an answer with this. And I didn't see, in 2010, I was one of those men that got his ass kicked. I was going to shut my business down. I had to fire my employees, shut my office down. I got trashed. I was one of them. This time it hasn't been as bad for me at all. I've been able to recover much better than I had in the past. It's been a better one for me. It hasn't been great for me at all, but it's been better than it was last time. So I'm measuring mine from 2010, 2011. I actually collapsed in 2010. From 2009, I didn't collapse till 2010. I held on for a year before I collapsed. And that's going to start happening in the years to come also, next year, the year after. So I felt that. And at that point, I had 2 kids. And my wife didn't work. So I get kind of where you are, Sarah, and all I can hope to tell you that we should be thinking about this now as a society, as a government, as a nation, we should be thinking, how are we going to make this work for our women? How are we going to create a better environment that isn't desperate? That is instead, if you follow X number of rules and guidelines, you have a very good chance of getting back on your feet as fast as possible. And to be forward, I don't have an answer yet. And I probably should. Usually when I bring these things up, I have an answer. I'm unsure right now what that answer is. That's not true. I do know. I do know. I already said it. It's childcare and schooling. That's what it is. It's childcare and schooling. It's setting up an environment to where, Sarah, like you, can take your time and energy and not focus 24/7 on whether your kids are doing well. Because the problem is, when kids are in school, the average parent, those of you who don't have kids, I'll educate you on this if you don't have kids. If you have kids, you'll know this for sure. When you put your kid into a school system, there's a level of, okay, they're at school. There's a level of confidence that most parents have when they pick the school they're putting their kid in. They go, okay, great, you're in that school. Let me now go do the other things in my life that I need. Self-care, a job, friends, insert thing here, dealing with the other kid that needs me more, whatever is required, because I got the one kid in the right school that I'm happy with, right? If I get all my kids in the right school, okay, I can take a breath and I can get some stuff going on. But when my kid's sitting in the computer on Zoom, and I'm not sure if my kid's learning anything or not, my stress levels doubled. And Sarah's got 3 kids, so her stress levels tripled. So how is she going to put her energy and the focus that she needs into her insurance career when she's got triple stress on her kids? She's just a human being. I'm sure you're amazing, Sarah. And you're human like anybody else. And if you get triple stresses, how are you supposed to be effective in your career? We're asking a lot of Americans in general, but women in particular. We're asking a lot of them. If we had the right school answer and the right childcare answer, now at least we've pulled those stresses off of them. And now they can get busy taking care of stuff they need to take care of. And this is how we can grow as a country, as a nation, as a community. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. So how come there's no new music? I'm unsure what you mean, Maria. So where's the flu? This is another point that I think we're going to find, right? I think we're going to find that all of the deaths this year will be at least 300,000. By next year, maybe there'll be 500,000 is my guess. That's a guesstimation. I'm not sure what it'll be, but say 500,000. Well, let's just go with this year, 300,000. Once we look back at these numbers, whether that's going to be next year or the year after, we're going to find out that not all those deaths were COVID. I don't know what that number is. Is that going to be 60,000 that weren't? 100,000 that weren't? I don't know. But there's going to be a chunk that wasn't really COVID. And when that pops up, people are going to feel terrible about all the damage that we've done to our economy, to our society, to our children who now don't know what the hell they're doing because we've changed their rules and regulations on them so many times. All the damage we've done, we're going to say to ourselves, it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it. To which genre of music you listen to usually? I like an eclectic type of music, all different types. Not all different types, not true. I tend to like music that is either very poetic and harmonious or very hard. One of those two. I like two sides. For the example, I'm in my 50s, so you can tell that, I like older music because I'm older. So when I say slow and harmonious, I mean things, I think people like Sade. I'm a big Sade fan. Annie Lennox. So that type of music, I love that. And I like hard rap and hard metal. My favorite rapper is Ice Cube. And I also listen to German and Japanese music also because I'm part German and I live in Japan for 4 years. So I also listen to Japanese music and also German music. And I prefer German rap to Japanese rap. Not even close. German rap's way better than Japanese rap. Not even close. Sorry, my Japanese listeners. I apologize. Your rap's not that good. So German rap's way better. American rap's the best, but German rap's second best. So there we go. But I also like metal. I also like is it techno now? What do they call it? EBD, like body music. Is that what it's called now? EBM, whatever. I'm old. Whatever it's called now. That stuff, I like that too. So the harder it is, I like that. I also like if I can dance to it. And I like it very soft and poetic. I like both of those types, depending upon my mood. I hope I answered your question. The advocates.org quiz is a great way to show others where they actually align politically. Yes, absolutely. That's why I love it so much. I spend so much time saying exactly that. When you're with your friends and family, this is a great way of exactly doing that. In fact, if you would, just listen up real fast. Hey, Larry Sharpe, host of the Sharpe Way. And I know what you're thinking. Election's over. Holiday season is here. I've got to have conversations with family and friends after this. I know it can be tough. How do you restart that? How do you reconnect? It's all about respect, guys. It's about mutual respect, human respect, respect for our family and friends. Well, how do you rebuild that? How do you make that happen now? You find some common ground. How do you do that? You head on over to the advocates.org, take the world's smallest political quiz. It's 1 minute, just 1 minute. You take that 1 minute, all of a sudden you now share that, send it to your friends. You start talking about things that matter to you, not about people you love, not about people you hate, but instead about issues that matter to you. Bring that back, have that common ground, find that mutual respect, find that human respect. Take this test and share it. The advocates.org. That guy is right. Yes, thank you so much for giving me the perfect time to put that up, Joe. I definitely do appreciate it. Yes. So yeah, instead of defunding the police, let's defund the politicians. Pete, I'm in. That's the deal. Defund the politicians. I'm in. Absolutely. Yes. Family court needs reform. Absolutely, 100% true. You'll hear me talk about this constantly. And right now, it's just going to get worse, right? What the COVID crisis, the government response crisis has done to families has made the family court system even more terrible in many ways, right? One of them, do you think that there's even a judge out there who's going, you know what? It's COVID, so you know what? Let's not worry about, paying your child support. Nope. Let's make a deal on how to pay for child support. Nope. Let's care in some way, shape, or form about the parents surviving COVID. Nope. I can guarantee it's not happening. For those you don't know, in New York State specifically, but many other states also, child support goes through the state. What does that mean? The state takes a cut off the top like a credit card company. So when you're paying child support, the state makes money. Yeah. And New York State has about a $60 billion deficit. They're giving up your dollars. Nope. You got to pay. You got to pay. Child support, alimony, all the payments that go out there, all those payments, it's a racket. It's a money grab. It's what it is. I'm not making this up. If you've been in the system, you know it's true. It's just a money grab. So they're not going to get rid of that at all. So that's already bad. But not just that. There are parents who have fought so badly because of how the systems run, allowing people to lie. Not just that, encouraging people to lie. No punishment for falsehoods. No punishment. No perjury charges ever being laid ever. None. So now each spouse hates each other so much, or former spouse hates each other so much that they alienate one from the other. So now the kids get alienated even worse. Well, it's because COVID. It's because I care about the kid. That's why I'm now not letting the mother or the father of the child see the child anymore. Because COVID, I'm scared. Because they're not good, or whatever is the thing they say or use to punish the parent, to use the children to punish the parents. That's going to happen even more now than it already has been happening. Nothing but bad. And now when people do desperate things like Mr. Staten Island and he gets a criminal record, well, now he can't see his kid anymore because that'll teach him. So now the kid not only has a mother or a father, in this case, father, who's going to have a criminal record, but now we can't see him anymore. Well, that's going to make the kid do just fine. Kid will be fine. No worries whatsoever, right? Because what matters is giving the kid money, not giving the kid parents. That's where our family court system is always worried about. Always worried about completely. We need school choice. Yes, absolutely we do. 100% correct. Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to grab a couple more here. How close would libertarianism be to constitutional conservatism if the principles were consistent? For hardcore libertarians, not as close. For the average American libertarian, very close, right? For the average American libertarian, very close. For the more hardcore libertarian, not as much, right? The hardcore libertarian is heavily based on principle, even past the Constitution. The average American is much more constitutional in the way they think. So I would say for the average everyday libertarian, it's close. For the hardcore libertarian, not as much so. I hope that answers your question. So, all right. I've had to give up mine to homeschool my son. Yes, I'm single. This has financially devastated me and put me seriously close to eviction, losing everything I have worked for. I hate to hear that, Melissa. I can't stand it. I wish you were the only person telling me that. But you're not. And I don't think anyone else is even talking about this or this plan to fix this, to make this work. It's already hard enough for women to maintain a career across their, say, 40 years of working, or 50 years, whatever it is, of working, while being a parent, while being often a spouse, not always, but often a spouse. And the other thing people don't realize is women more than men also become caregivers of elderly parents. Again, men do it too, but statistically, more women than men do that also. So, Melissa, how are you going to be a good daughter and a good mother and a good spouse or partner and still keep your career? It's hard enough. And COVID said, the government response to COVID said, oh, no, not hard enough. Nope. You need to be so hard that you're on the cusp of losing everything. Instead of helping, it's making things worse. That's the part that drives me crazy, because now that it's making things worse, who are we asking for help? The people who made it worse. They made it worse, and we're asking them for help. That doesn't make much sense to me. Patricia, oh yes, an associate in business. Okay, good. It's better than a bachelor's in trans-labeled studies. I'm not sure what that is. Is a university by the office weekend bachelor boys? Yes, thank you, David. You're talking exactly what I'm saying. Yes, thank you for backing me up on that one, David. Yes, to the best of your ability, get that degree to the best of your ability. David's right. See, he's backing me up. Thanks, David. He's on my page. I appreciate that. Absolutely. Yes. Let's see. My child is unfortunately publicly educated. So we're both of mine right now. Right? I was too. Right. I've had my kids in private school and not in private school, both. But right now they're basically being homeschooled. I mean, they're not officially being homeschooled, but they basically are. You know, my wife and I do a lot of the work for their school here at home. My wife does the bulk. So I don't want to sit here and act like I'm the teacher at home. My wife does the bulk of this. I do a small piece as she commands. So yes, I do that absolutely. Yeah. So my son is excelling right now, and we need him to advance, and we need to advance him. I love that, Julian. See, that's great. I got to tell you, some kids are doing better in this, right? It's not that like all kids are doing bad. To be forward, statistically, most kids are doing worse, but some are excelling, and good on those. And here's the best part. For those kids that are excelling, why don't we keep their type of schooling up for those kids? They're excelling, right? If your kid's rocking and rolling right now, Julian, we should do more like that for your kids so we can keep excelling and be successful in whatever he wants to do. Absolutely. I love that idea. This goes back to the thing I'm talking about always. School choice, right? Learning choice. Let each kid be where they need to be, right? And I'm going to bring up quickly special needs kids. We have a problem with this idea in America that we think all special needs kids are a monolith. And they're not. They're very different also. Right? There are some special needs kids who need to be in school and need to have a very specific, strict schedule. And some are like, no, can we just fly around? That's awesome. And each kid's different and in between. So the same thing, we need school choice. Yes. So that you can put your kid, special needs or not, into the right school for him or her to do the best they do so they can excel to the best of their ability, 100%. And we're not doing that. We're doing the reverse. We're going to throw people back into the same old thing all over again. I work most weekends. When you don't have a higher education industry, you have to work weekends. This is also very challenging, Patricia. My mom also, she worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3, but she worked 2. She often worked weekends. And I remember that weekends weren't that special for her because every day was a work day, right? For the average American who works 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, which there's less and less of those in America now. But for that guy or gal who does that, weekends are often special because, oh, I don't have to get up early and go to work that day. But now you find so many people who are working 7 days, it's not special. And if someone like you, Patricia, I know this, right? I don't mean to be flippant. I mean, I say this to kind of let you know that I kind of get kind of what you're feeling, and that you're also behind all the time because you're always working. So those other things that you want to do, you struggle to do. So now when you're off, when you actually are off, you feel guilty because there's always more to do, but you don't always want to do it because you've been working all the time. Or maybe you want to hang out with your kid and just watch a dumb movie or something and just do something with your kid. Maybe you want to take a nap and sleep. Maybe you want to watch, mindless TV by yourself and just chill out and watch Netflix for 3 hours. Maybe you don't want to hang out with your friends that you probably haven't seen in months. Maybe you want to do that. And then you do it and you feel guilty. You say, I should have spent that time with my daughter or my son, or I should have spent that time working or cleaning something or fixing something or repairing something or calling somebody or going to school or whatever you feel. Yeah, it's hard. And this is making it even harder. And I don't remember, maybe I'm missing him, but I don't remember one politician talking about this at all. The idea is to make your job a little bit easier so you can achieve more and spend more time with your family, because just paying for your family can't be the only part of your life. It's got to be a part of it, clearly. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from money. Of course you need money. Your family also needs you. It needs the money and it needs you. And I get it. My mom missed out on a lot of my life as I was a teenager, a youngster and teenager. She wasn't there. I was alone a lot. I was 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. That's one reason why I left home at 17. I went to the Marine Corps. Why would I stay home? My mom was always working. So I cooked for myself, cleaned for myself, did my own laundry. I was very self-sufficient, at least. I guess it's one good thing, right? So we take a silver lining out of that. But yeah, I get it, Patricia, and I really hope that that people will listen and we can make that shift and make that change. I really hope so. So you'll run for office 2022. I'm considering it. As I said, I will make a decision in September, in the summer of next year, on whether I'll be running for governor again in New York. I will decide by the summer of next year, and I'll announce no later than September whether I am or I'm not. Because if I'm not running, I want to make sure I clear the path for someone who can run. Or if I am running, I want to take advantage and run as soon as I can. So either way, I will be announcing by September for sure. No later than that. So, all right. Not one politician has died from the virus, lost their job, or had their business looted, or missed a haircut. Wow. Pete, well done. No, I love that little dig at the end. That was really good. Or missed a haircut. I'm going to use that. I might give you credit for it. Probably not. But I might give you credit for it, Pete. Maybe. I give you credit for the debt thing all the time. I don't know. I like the missed haircut one. I may not give you credit for that one. If you hear me say it, just know it's yours, even though I stole it from you. I might give you credit, maybe not. That's a good one. Or missed a haircut. Man. Right on the money, Pete. Right in the money. There used to be a wonderful support network for homeschoolers. Yes, Christine. Thank you. Yes, and co-op preschool when my kids were little. I brought this up before. When I was a kid in the Bronx, I grew up in the South Bronx in the 70s. Not the best neighborhood, by the way. Not the best place to grow up when you're a kid, right? That's where I grew up when I was a little guy. And we had people in my neighborhood, literally in my building, who would take kids for childcare. So my mom could work and my dad could work. Both my parents worked when I was a kid, right? I lost my dad when I was 11. So when I was a little kid, 6, 7, 8, 9, both my parents worked. So I was a latchkey kid, right? I'd come home and by myself, 7, 8 years old, walking home from school. And I'd go in, and then eventually my mom was like, can you stay at someone's house? So I'd stay there, do homework with some other kids. There were 2, 3 kids there. It wasn't just me. The stay-at-home mom would take 2 or 3 kids. My mom paid whatever. I think if I remember right, when we first started, they used to pay in food. I'm not joking. They used to pay in food, like bring over a big thing of like meatballs or something, right? So all the kids could eat during the week, right? So each parent would bring, every week they'd bring a bunch of food. So the mom who was there, she was hardly ever cooking because her fridge was always filled with food from the other moms, and she could always feed the kids, and her kids were there too. She also had 2 kids. So she fed her own kids on us. She fed her family on us. That's what she did. And that's the price. That's what she got for taking care of these kids during the week after school for 3 hours, right? I got home from school probably 3:30, and my mom was home by 6. So she would take all the kids in the neighborhood from about 3 to 6, and she never had a food bill. That was it. That's how it worked back then. I'm not saying we have to do that, but that's what worked for our community back then. We can find answers that will work for your community now. Absolutely. So, all right, let me see if I can grab a couple more here. See here. No. All right. Comments in the interest to mandate vaccines. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to be a mandate. I was afraid of a vaccine mandate. I am no longer. I don't think there is going to be a vaccine mandate. I don't think so. I'm not 100% sure. That's why I keep talking against it, because there is a little bit of me that's worried, but I don't think so. I think the Supreme Court saying churches have to stay open was a good sign. I think the idea that they have not used government agents, or so far, the plan is to not use government agents to give out the vaccine, is to use private companies. Private companies aren't going to act on a mandate. Government agents will. So now that they're using the CVSs and Walgreens and such, those are all private companies. The clerk at Walgreens or the manager of the CVS is not going to knock on your door and say, where are your papers? You're getting the vaccine, right? Government agents will do that. So if we have that as the way of giving the vaccine out, I don't think there'll be a mandate. That's my gut. I also hope that since there are multiple vaccines, I'm hoping they all come out at the same time. I hope that that will make some people feel that one of the vaccines is safer, so they won't fight as much. I'm hoping that people will feel safer taking the vaccine. I'm not sure that's true. But if we don't get over 50% of the people taking it, I think we do fear the mandate. But my gut says over 50% will take it voluntarily. I think that will happen. Therefore, I don't think there's going to be a mandate. That's my gut. I think they'll put it there on purpose, of course, in case they need it, but I don't think there will be a mandate. My gut says no. I hope that was helpful. So I had a daycare in my home for 14 years. Yes. I was self-employed, stay-at-home, single mom. I was also a preschool teacher during those years. Yes. Yes. Why aren't more people doing that, right? Why? Because they'll get sued. Because they won't be able to deal with the insurance, and they'll get fined by the state, and everything around them will crush them. And the state will go, oh, I crushed people like you? Oh, let me help you. You could just stop crushing us. That could work. Absolutely. Up until recently in New York, you could opt out for your child to skip kindergarten. I could have put my child in a preschool that is considered a safe age group. But nope, they made kindergarten mandatory, and now I have to pay for my child to go to preschool so they can help her with my government-funded school virtually. Is it magically unsafe once it's in a public school? Yes, it is, right? Once it's government, it becomes good just by default, by magic, as you're saying. Yes. It's government? Now it's fine. That is how that works, Don. I wish we were joking, but you know what I'm talking about. Yes, absolutely. The bar is owned by 2 guys. Thank you, Shelly. I thought it was 2 guys, right? Yeah, 2 guys, and they put 150 grand into this thing, and now that's gone. Schools that are not open should not be getting funding. Imagine if that were true, Pete. Imagine if that was true. Imagine if you were a school and you weren't open, so you didn't get funding, teachers didn't get paid. Imagine that. Change a lot. I'm not saying we should do that. It might be unfair to teachers. I don't really know the details and what their contracts are. I don't know how that works, to be forward with you. But I get the concept, right? But if you can do an executive order to lock me in my house and not let me, and if I have 11 people in my house, all of a sudden I go to jail, maybe you could mandate schools don't get funding, right? If you got the magic powers of the God King, Andrew Cuomo II, oh, hail King, yep, maybe you can do that, right? Why not? I love it. If you run for governor again against King Cuomo, I would love to work for you and your campaign. I would like to run for office in the future. I volunteered before for someone else, but registered libertarian. I would like to run and change the Bronx. I'm agreeing with you. It'll be hard, but it is possible. It is possible. I'm in. Let's do it, brother. AJ, I'm in. I love it. Yes. All right. Pub owners, employees, and lawyer will also fine thousands for being in the pub at the time of his arrest. Yes. I remember they rounded them all up and punished them all. That's exactly right. Yes. I had the COVID-19 this time last year. It took me a month and a half to shake it. It's been a year, this pandemic crap. So sick of it, Larry. Me too. Right? And the problem is people are getting angry because people are getting sick of it. How much time can we spend under house arrest without going nuts? I mean, remember the Stanford experiment when they put the people in, they took two different people, randomly divided them up and made some guards and some prisoners. And within it lasted like 3 days because they're ready to kill each other in like 3 days. We've been 9 months. You're right, John, you're right. 9 months. What do you expect from us? At one point, to let people get out there. But Larry, people will die. Yes. They're dying now. It's not like it's they're going to die or not die. They're dying now. It's already happening. And the people who are dying, most of them are elderly. About, was it 40 or 45%? I'm unsure of the exact percentage. Something like that of all the deaths came from nursing homes, right? From long-term care homes. We know who's affected by this more than others. We can protect them. We can protect them. Those people probably aren't going to max on Staten Island. They're probably not. I could be wrong. You might be a hardcore partier at 80 and you sneak out of your long-term care home and you're heading over to Max at night. Maybe. Odds are against that. Odds are Max does not have any people who live in long-term care facilities hanging out 9 o'clock at his pub. Probably not. So you know what? Tell Mac this. Well, not Mac, but tell the guys this, that if you happen to see an 85-year-old woman walk in there with a walker and an IV, get her out of there. She's in trouble. Get her out of there. Do that. Right? And then I'm sure we'll be fine. No one will get mad. We'll do that instead. So I'm kind of joking, but I'm kind of not. People who know me know I say this story often because it matters. When I was in the Marine Corps back in the 80s, we were taught to survive and to thrive and to still be able to fight a battle in a contaminated environment. We had protocols available for chemical weapon attacks, gas attacks, spray attacks from planes above, biological warfare, even tactical nukes. I mean, strategic nukes destroys everything, but tactical nukes don't destroy everything, right? So even that, we had protocols for how to survive, how to deal with that stuff, deal with fallout, all these things from tactical nuke, everything. The war didn't end because the battlefield became contaminated. We still had to fight that war. Well, every day we fight our own wars to pay our bills, to take care of our kids, to keep our relationship strong with our family and our friends and people who we love. We're still fighting the war. But the government says, surrender. Surrender. Leave the field. COVID owns the field. Leave the field. I say, no, COVID doesn't own the field. I own the field. This is our field. And we're not defeated yet. So we fight and we function in a contaminated environment. Will there be casualties? Yes. Are there casualties now? Yes. But can we have less casualties? Not just now, but also in the future. Because the hardest part you're talking about, John, which most people aren't getting, most aren't getting this. They think, well, once 2020 is over and then we get the vaccine, magically it's all good. It's not. For two reasons. One, this is over a year of changing our culture. How we act, how we talk, how we date, how we have friends, how our kids go to school, how our kids interact with each other. All being affected right now. And kids are most impressionable. They're being affected right now. And those who have kids, you're seeing it. You're seeing it. So that's not just going to go away. Not just that, the most of the damage, most of the bankruptcies, that can happen this year. They're going to happen next year. I know. They don't happen that year. They happen the year after. They hold on. then it all falls apart. Then it all falls apart. And when that all happens, more people get in trouble. But the worst part of it all, this isn't the last virus that's ever going to hit us. There'll be another one. I don't know when. I hope many years in the future. But it could be in 2 years. It could be in 5 years. It seems like every couple of years some kind of virus hits us. What if the next virus hits us is worse than this one? What's our answer? Shut it all down again for a year. Wait for a vaccine. Is that our answer again? Shut the country down at that point. We're done. America's finished. If that's how it works. America's done. We're not a nation anymore. We'll break into parts and whatever and just end it. It's over. The nation will not survive this again in 2 years. It simply won't. We're not going to exist. You're right in more ways than one. It's terrible. I'm sick also. Yes. All right. What do you think of the lockdown protest? Anyone involved around here or in New York? He said that from Freedom. No, I think the protests are great. I feel bad for the people who's going to get arrested because the sad part about New York City is I live in New York City. For those who don't know, I live in New York City. And most New York City people are like, those Staten people are crazy. Put them in jail. Most New York City people are like that. They're like, yeah, put them in jail. Whatevs. I wish more people weren't that way. But yeah, absolutely. All right, if I grab a couple more. Let's see. You're pretty charismatic. How about a platform to appeal to millennials and younger like Caffeine or Twitch? I am literally streaming live right now on Twitch. So yeah, Mike, I'm with you. I am literally right now. This stream is being streamed on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch. For those of you on Twitch, you can go to Twitch, The Sharpe Way, or Twitch, Larry Sharpe. It is actually being streamed on both. So yes, and for millennials and youngers, yeah, I do that also. If you want to go to my YouTube page, you can head to the bottom, and there's one that literally says, it says, if I remember right, it's called Can't Feel the Burn. Maybe it's not sharp enough. And there are, I think, 4 different videos for the young Bernie supporters to show them how you can get the things that you want if you're a Bernie supporter without having to use government to make that happen. So yeah, I'm with you, Mike Honcho. I'm absolutely with you. Yes. So almost 2,000 New Yorkers have died from coronavirus since King Andrew released his book about flattening the curve and the success of his leadership. I know. See, he's amazing, I guess, in his own mind. No, he's a terrible person, which is YP. He's a terrible person. Yes. So, all right. Let's see if I can do this. I'm running for office without finishing my bachelor's. No worries. It's fine. Lots of people run for office and win without, high degrees. It doesn't really matter. Absolutely. Yes. I'm exploring low-cost options so I don't cripple myself with debt. Patricia, it's the right answer. Good luck. I really hope that you're able to do that. Yes, absolutely. Larry, do you remember anything you learned while studying anthropology? Yes, a lot. I actually picked anthropology because it's something that I enjoy. I had no idea. That's not true. I knew I wouldn't use my bachelor's degree, even back then, right? I got my bachelor's degree. I went to college late. For those who don't know, I didn't go to college right away. At 17, I joined the Marine Corps, and I took off right away after high school. I barely graduated high school because I didn't want to be in school, and I sure didn't want to go to college. So I didn't. I took off, and I was in boot camp immediately. So around 20 years old, I was around 20, 21. I was 21 when I decided, you know what? I should go to college. I should get a college degree. It was my second tour in the Marine Corps. I did 2 tours in the Marine Corps, 7 years total. And my second tour was for 3 years. I did a 3-year re-up for 3 years. And during that 3 years is when I got my degree. I was 21 years old when I got it. And I think I graduated in 92. I think 92. Then I graduated in 92. I got my degree in 2.5 years. And I picked anthropology because I enjoyed it. So many things I liked, and I still remember from that because I wanted to be in it, right? I went from barely graduating high school, I mean like D's and C's, to a 3.8, I think, GPA when I graduated my high school. And I was a full-time Marine and a full-time student. And I still graduated in 2.5 years. So because I was hungry, I wanted. At 17, I didn't want to go to college. That was a waste of my time and money and energy. I didn't want to do it. I hated school. But when I was 21, I had a purpose. I wanted it. I knew it was valuable. I was going to get out of the Marine Corps. I wanted to have something when I got out. So I had purpose. I had focus. So of course I was able to do well, right? If you want to do something, you do it better, right? This is just humans, right? If you don't want to do it, you don't do it that well. I wanted to do it. I was focused, and boom, I had a mission, and I got it done. So I remember a lot. I remember the theories beyond the theories behind how people move. I remember the ideas of historical ideas on how people think about their leadership, kings and queens, all types of things, right? And a lot of it I still use, to be forward in this day. I still use because, again, it's what I wanted, so I still remember it. When I watch TV, I still think about it. When I do reports for businesses, I often will do reports on businesses, cultural reports. I use the same concepts that I use from anthropology. So, yeah, I do know. I still remember some things, and that was 30 years ago, give or take. I graduated about 30 years ago, give or take. I still remember some things. But it's because I got what I wanted. It wasn't I didn't use it for a career. I used it because I got a degree in what I wanted, not what I thought was going to be useful. Because to be forward with you, nothing was going to be useful. So my opinion always, and I tell my kids this too, if you're going to get a bachelor's degree, whatever that bachelor's degree is in, unless it's very specific, like I want to become a doctor, right? So get one in biology or something like that. Unless it's specific and you know where you're going in your career, if you're not sure, get a degree in something that you like so that you want to do it, so you can do well in it, so you can get good grades. And then if you want to go further, get a master's degree in something, or just go to work. That's my view. People disagree. But I teach my kids this. So at least if I'm wrong, I'm not a hypocrite. I guess that's something. Yes. All right. See if I can keep going. Larry, you're my second favorite man. At least that's what I tell my husband. Well done. I appreciate that. Yes. I hope everybody's second favorite man. It'd be great. Yes. Cuomo's administration is a business. Let's shut it down. Nicely done, Andrew. Yes, absolutely. Yes, I got that. Yes. I think news outlets are just ignoring new music because they are caught up in it. Oh, that's what you meant by new music. Oh, I gotcha. I'm sorry. Yeah, no. There is new music. You just have to know where to look for it, right? As a general rule, new music is coming out of social media far more than anything else. And I learned of this from my 16-year-old daughter, right? That's how I learned, right? The advantage of being a hub that often Sharpe Way or Larry Libertarian is people often send things to me on my team. So my team will pick up things. You send things off. For those of you who often reach out to me, it's not always me who's answering or responding. It's sometimes my team that responds or answers. It's not always me. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But the team gets it, and then they'll forward stuff to me and go, oh, did you see this? You see that? You see this? My wife will do it for me also. My kids do it for me also. So I get a lot of input, and that's how I find new things. It's very often through that. I don't have to search as much as you would think. Very often things come to me, so I'm able to research things as they pop up to me. It happens a lot. So thank you for that. Yes. All right, and keep going if I can. So many small business owners have lost all their assets and net worth. Very true. Absolutely. Yep. I worked on a Tappan Zee with mostly teachers and nurses. Oh, that's interesting. I like that. All right. Let's see here. Cuomo says Fed's not providing vaccine funds despite New York having 7.5 million. Yeah, look, Cuomo's always going to blame somebody else. To be forward, it's going to sound horrible, but it's true, and I hope you get it. COVID was the best thing that could have happened to Cuomo. I'm sorry. His Majesty King Andrew II. All hail the king. The best thing that could have happened to him, because he will now blame 10 years of terrible governing and mismanagement all on COVID. He's going to go, oh, yeah, the state was awesome till COVID hit. And COVID was bad because Trump. Can you tell me why because Trump? You know, because Trump. Oh, so you were perfect until Trump ambushed you and ruined you. Yes. Now you get it. That is what his story will be. His story will be that for the next 2 or 3 years, that he was perfect and wonderful. Then Trump gave him COVID, and that was the end. That will be, in some form, it'll be more detailed than that, but it'll be that. That will be his entire story. Yes, absolutely. All right. What was the name of the website that tests your political standing? It's called theadvocates.org. Theadvocates.org. Where do you stand? Check out www.theadvocates.org. That's where it is. So I hope that was helpful. So if I can grab a couple more, PhD or master without any actual work experience is a hindrance. Another good point, right? And when I used to do classes, at Yale and Columbia, particularly at Yale, I'd be surprised how often I would ask the students there, what else are you doing? And many of them just go, oh, no, I'm a student. I know you're a student. Well, I'm getting an MBA. Yeah, I get that. I'm teaching a class. I know where you are. I'm asking, what else are you doing? And they go, not good enough. David, you're right. Not good enough. Even if you're getting your degree from the Ivy League school, which absolutely has value. Let's be clear. Ivy League schools have two huge values. Number one is the network. That's what I did not get out of my school, and many of you did not get out of your school, was that awesome network that is in the Ivy League. It's a great network of people to meet, talk to. That's big advantage. Second, people are impressed by Ivy League. They just are. Oh, wow. Yeah, Columbia, Harvard. They're impressed by it. It's just our society. So there is some value to it. Don't get me wrong. There is value to it. But every year, several thousand people graduate from Ivy League schools with MBAs. Several thousand every year. So in 2 years, that's a whole lot more. In 5 years, that's a whole lot more. So your MBA from that cool school begins to lose value as time goes on. You better do some actual work, because while you have a good advantage, so do thousands of others. You're completely right, David. I think people just don't get that at all, right? The advantage I had when I got out of the Marine Corps and why I got a job immediately was because I had 7 years of experience in the Marine Corps and a college degree. I had 7 years of experience as a Marine and a college degree, and I was a part-time teacher when I was in the Marine Corps. So I had teaching experience. I had 7 years in the Marine Corps and a college degree. So you're totally right. I had both. I was very happy and lucky with the way I decided to make it happen. And it wasn't all done on purpose when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I was like, I'm running away. That was my thought process. I'm running away. That was my entire thought process. But it wound up being, I wound up fixing it, right? As I got older, I did. Yes. Pataki and Cuomo Sr. killed my mother's desire to have employees. Yes. Oh, Patricia. Yes. When I train small business owners, one of the things I tell them when they say, well, now I'm going to start hiring people. And I said, it's great. Now the punishment begins. And I'm not joking when I say that. For any of you all small business owners who decided to begin to hire employees, immediately you get punished in New York State. Right away. You get the letter that says, the 6 month letter that says that you owe $40,000. So the workers' comp, whatever, you get those letters and you owe this, you owe that. If you don't have a savvy accountant, I mean, it's scary. You call up and don't know what to do, and they threaten you. And the worst part is they just negotiate with you. If you send those letters to your accountant who's savvy goes, this is all BS, sends it back saying we're not paying it. No, see you in court. They walk away. But if you don't know any better, they negotiate with you. I'm not joking. This is what actually happens. They'll send you a letter saying you owe $40,000 on workers' comp or something like that. You'll say, I don't even have an employee. Or I just got one employee. He just came in yet. Yep, you owe $40,000. I can't afford $40,000. How much can you afford? I can give you 10. We'll take 10. I'm not joking. It's literally just a racket. Not those exact words. I'm clear. It's not those words. But they will literally negotiate with you to get whatever they can get from you. When you should pay them nothing. If you're savvy, you have a cool accountant that goes, I owe you nothing, go away. They go away. But if you offer to pay, they take your money. I wish that wasn't true. I know people who've been in business, and if you've been in business in New York State, you've seen it happen. So, terrible. All right. Talking about a crash, look at the movie industry right now. Movie theaters and studios are taking hits. Horrible hits, Paul. Yes. Horrible hits. Yes, they're getting battered. Because if you do a movie now, if you start making a movie now, and anyone gets COVID, you're the evilest person in the world. Why would you make a movie? It's the end of your career. Wait. Just wait. End of your career. Why bother doing it? I completely agree. Yes. This while we were supposed to be in a work slowdown. You never start in the booth, just makes commuters meaner. I love that. See that? Customer service, Shelly. Thank you very much. I love that. Yes. So, rarely do I ever hear people cough in public in the past several months. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. 100%. Yes. I don't know how they did it, but some shows are going, and soap operas are back up and running for 2 or 3 months shutdown. My gut tells me that they're probably shooting in another country. That's what my gut tells me. The odds are they're simply not shooting in America. So yet again, because of our stupid government policies, other countries win and we lose. Because the other countries, they want the business, right? So they would do it. And you can't sue them because they, whatever, shot in Spain or Mexico or Canada or wherever, the UK or something. If you shoot someplace else, you're safe. So my gut says there's somebody shooting in different countries. And then it won't get sued, and then that'll be it. And people will sign waivers saying, look, I agree, I won't work. I'll take the chance that I'll catch COVID or whatever. They might be doing that, yes. So that would be my assumption. So, hold on. And yes, small productions, right? As a general rule, scripted shows like that have sets and such are going to be small productions than larger movie productions, which often have massive productions. But what you are finding happening now is people are creating much more animation, right? Animation you've outside. You're basically you can do it virtually. You can create animation, without having to be in the same room. So there is a bit of animation, most of it being 2D versus 3D. But you are finding a lot of animation still doing it, yes. So what do you think of Biden forgiving student debt? What a joke, won't work in the long run. Student debt doesn't work in the long run. So I think what forgiving student debt does, I hope it actually shows a hole in the system. I'm not confident that it will, Eric. I think all it will be is a Band-Aid. I think you're right. Long run's not going to work. But the system itself is already failing. It's not going to work, right? The idea of saying colleges, are the only answer to success, and they can charge whatever they want, and we'll just put people in debt for it. That system wasn't going to work anyway, right? So my hope is that it will show, some of the holes in the system, but something else. I hope less people go to college. I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean that in a smart way. College isn't for everybody when they're 19 years old. I'm an example of that. Some people should go to college later in life, right? Patricia is an example of that, right? She'll go later in life. We shouldn't be, as a society, we shouldn't be saying, oh, you're 18, 19, go to college for 4 years. That is a terrible idea. I don't know why we decided that's the case. It shouldn't be. You should go to college when you want to make some change in your life. That makes total sense. Then go whenever that time is. When you're ready for it, go whenever that is. Go do that. We shouldn't be. And why in the world would you or your daughter or son or whoever pay $50,000 per year for education, which is basically a series of Zoom classes? People simply aren't going to pay it. Just not. So the colleges are going to have to simply go, we're not charging anymore. Or they're going to go out of business. And they're not going to go out of business. So they're going to change their business model. They simply have to. They will change their business model if the government will stop loaning money for nothing. Hopefully, if Uncle Biden pays all the debt, which Eric, he might. I think he might. If he pays all the debt, well then, do we just want to go back to it again? Why would I then? Right? Why would I? If I'm 18 and I just saw my 20-year-old older brother or cousin get all his debt paid off, well, now I'm gonna take the debt on. Why don't you pay my debt off? You got to pay all the debt off. Otherwise, and eventually everyone realizes, just make college free then. Please don't make college free. But if you're just going to pay off the debt, make it free. Let colleges do whatever they want. And then we'll have a debt and Pete will be jumping up and down about a debt of 30 trillion, 32 trillion. We'll just make college free, whatever you want. Done. Or better yet, government will decide how much college costs. All college costs $10,000 a year. That's what we pay you. Done. Do that. I mean, they're all bad ideas, but that's better than what we have, right? If I'm going to have a bad idea, I'd rather have the least bad idea. Just make college free. The government pays whoever wants to go to college. The government pays the institution 10 grand. We're still going into massive debt. The world's still ending. Just ends nicer. I don't know. It's not going to work in the long run. You're right. Yes, absolutely. So, all right. Let's see if I can keep going. In your opinion, who was the most brutal dictator in the world today? Most brutal. It's a tough one. One would assume I would say North Korea. but I'm not sure that's true. It might be one of the Central Asian dictators, and the guy who runs not Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. It might be one of those guys, maybe. I don't think it's Erdogan. He isn't the most brutal. He's brutal, but it's not Erdogan who runs Turkey. I've forgotten the dictator of Uzbekistan. Was it Kazakhstan? I've forgotten which one of those two. It's one of those two. All three of those areas, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, are all run by horrible dictators. All three of them are. I've forgotten which one is worse. The reason why I might not say North Korea is because North Korea is put into a position because of what the world is doing to it for them to act that way. We could fix that situation literally within a month. The former Soviet republics are bad because the only leadership they knew were former dictators, right, from the Soviet Union. But they don't have to be as bad as they are. They could be real, democracies. That's something they could be. They could be not dictators. They've chosen to be dictators. The Kim regime in North Korea has no option. They either leave or the dictators. The Central Asian governments have an option, and they're not picking it. So maybe Central Asian dictators? Yeah, it's a tough question, Alexander. It's a tough question. There's some sub-Saharan African dictators that are pretty bad too. I'm torn on this question. My gut tells me Central Asian dictators. That's what my gut tells me. But I have to do some more homework. I hope at least that answered a little bit where my head was. At least it tells you where my head is, right? I think people are more brutal or crueler when they have the option to not be. And in certain cases, the world sets up a situation to where their option is leave or be a cruel dictator. So they act crueler because of the environment around them versus them doing it themselves. That doesn't make Kim a good guy. Kim's not a good guy. This is, again, least bad. They're all bad. We're going least bad. So, yes. All right. Do you like Pink Floyd, Larry? I do. I actually had the Wall album when it first came out. 70 something when it came out. Yes, absolutely. So, I'm not sure what baby metal is. Don't know. Not sure. German metal is great. I would agree. Yes. I got some German in me, so it's in the blood. It's in the blood. There it is. Yes. I do love the blues too. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I like two different sides. I really do. Yes, absolutely. I had the wrong music in the car the day we spent together. It's okay, Michelle. I said I like that types of music. I'm good. Absolutely. Yes. EDM. Thank you. Electronic dance music. Is that right? EDM. Thank you. Yes. EDM. I'm an old man. I forget these things. Thank you. Yes. Larry Sharpe is president. Thank you. I like that. What would you have done differently in regards to the COVID pandemic? It's a great question. And I actually answered all of it, believe it or not, 9 months ago. So everything I'm telling you is not, with hindsight. I put this 9 months ago in video format. Head over to the Sharpe Way YouTube page, not Larry Sharpe YouTube page, the Sharpe Way YouTube page. At the bottom of that page is a playlist that says COVID-19 response. There are 10 videos, none longer than half an hour. They're all shorter videos. And I explain every single thing I would have done for the COVID pandemic from the state level and or the national level, and even how to pay for it. Even how to pay for it. I put that there too. So yes, already there. It's not a one-word answer. This was a difficult thing to handle, but I gave the answer. It is recorded 9 months ago. To be clear, 9 months ago, I was already ready on that. So thank you, Pam. Please check it out. Yes. I always wondered if German or Japanese rap was better. Well, now you know, Joe. You can now sleep better. I know you were struggling. You were up at night going, why won't someone tell me which is better, German or Japanese rap? Stop the madness. I know you were thinking that. Yes. So now you know German rap is better. You're welcome. Yes, you're welcome. Yes. Have you met Greg Gutfeld, Larry? I think I did once. I think I did. I was either, maybe not. I was at twice when I went on Kennedy twice. And both times when I was in the green room, I met people. I met people who were on his show. I did not meet him. No, I met people who were on his show. That's who I met, not him. Thank you. So I thought I met him. I met two of the people who were on his show, and I met them when I was in Fox business green room twice when I was running for office. So yes. Let's see here. Agreed. She is the most brutal dictator in the world. You think she is? Why she? I mean, I don't. He's just as brutal as the rest, isn't he? I mean, if anything, he's just following on the same footsteps of all the rest. Is he? Again, I'm not saying he's good at all. I'm not saying he's good. I'm not sure the Chinese are the worst. I mean, relatively, they allow a large chunk of people to, as long as they follow the rules of the dictator, to be successful, to be happy, to make money. Just, don't be a criminal, meaning don't go against the leadership, which again, terrible, but relative to others. I mean, you look at someone like, the Kim regime in North Korea. I mean, they murder you because they're afraid that you might one day do something. They put you in work camps for far worse reasons. The Chinese generally don't put you into a work camp because they're afraid you might. You got to do something. Then they put you in a work camp or execute you or whatever. I mean, they're not as cruel as the North Koreans are. I mean, and there's 1.6 billion Chinese, 20 million North Koreans. So 25 million, massive difference in that. And I don't see Xi also as someone who would do things like kidnap people for his own personal pleasure. The Kim regime does that. All the Central Asian dictators do that. Literally kidnap people for their own pleasure. So I don't think Xi is that guy. I don't think he's the guy who kidnaps women for his own personal pleasure and, puts them in dungeons for him to personally torture, like guys like Saddam Hussein did. I don't think he's that guy. That's my view. I don't think he's that guy. So let's see here. In your opinion, Larry, who would you say is more of a libertarian, Rand Paul or Thomas Massie? Thomas Massie. Yeah, Thomas Massie. I don't have to think about that one. Thomas Massie is more of a libertarian. Absolutely. Yes. Rand Paul has really recently moved more Republican. I mean years. I mean, he's had some very good things this year because of COVID. I think COVID has made him start thinking more about his libertarian roots because of the COVID response. But if you go prior to COVID, he was far closer to a Republican than Thomas Massie was. Far closer. Don't get me wrong. If every Republican was like a Rand Paul, we'd have a better Republican Party. So I'm not dissing Rand Paul. Again, this is a measure, right? You're asking who's more, right? And I'm going to go with Thomas Massie on that one. And be clear, not dissing Rand. I'm just saying Massie's more. That's all. All right. Let's see if I can keep going here. I spend the majority of my time on whether German or Japanese rap is better. See, we all concerned. I've solved so many of your problems here today. So now we understand exactly right. Yes. Man, I got so many questions for Larry as usual. It's okay. I'm trying to answer them. I am. I'm really trying to. What do you think about the guidelines for quarantining? I have a ton of associates who are on leave, and the time limits and who has to quarantine the family doesn't make sense. I agree that the issue is I don't mind guidelines, Chelsea. That's the issue. The problem is we don't have guidelines. We have rules, right? And if you want to actually have your population trust your guidelines, you have to be able to match those guidelines against other guidelines. As I talked about, Pam asked, what would I have done? One of the things I would have done is I would have used government for what I think most Americans are okay with, and that is a central repository for information. So why, if I was governor or president or whatever I was, whatever executive I was, I would have the guidelines and not rules, Chelsea, the guidelines. What the CDC says are their guidelines for safety, right, during the COVID, right? Here's the quarantine rules, travel restrictions that they say as guidelines, what you should do. But it also allows other organizations, maybe there's a doctor association, there's a holistic association that will put up their guidelines for what they think is best and right. And then you, as the consumer, go, I trust either of these 3 or 4, whatever's up there, which one you trust, You then follow those guidelines. And as people begin to follow those guidelines, we begin to see what actually works. If no one's following this kind of guideline, it doesn't work. No one's following it. It doesn't work. Everyone's following these guidelines. They work. So if you just do that, but Larry, what would happen right away? People would have died. It's been 9 months. People are still dying. If you had done what I said 9 months ago, this would be solved within 6 months. Prior to 6 months, it'd be solved. Because we know, Chelsea, what exactly works. Because you and your friends would be choosing what will work best for you. And would some of you be wrong? Yes. People are wrong now. They're wrong now. It's not like it's wrong or not. It's wrong and prepare for the future, or just wrong forever in perpetuity. We've chosen wrong in perpetuity. I'm saying let's figure it out and know what our protocols are for the next time and for this time. Following my ideas, within 6 months, the economy's back to running, just as it always was. We would know the protocols, Chelsea, because you're right. These don't make sense because they're waiting for government to tell us what to do instead of figuring out what's going to work in our communities, right? And I go back to New York State. New York State has very large counties, like St. Lawrence County is our largest county. Manhattan County is our smallest county. Yet Manhattan County is far denser in population than St. Lawrence County. And I mean far denser in population. Hamilton County is one of our counties. It's 5,000 people in it. Brooklyn has 2.3 million. We're a diverse state, right? But so is the country. The country's diverse too. So why in the world would one size fits all? It can't settle that. So instead, each group takes separate areas, figures out what works for them. Absolutely. Yes. So, all right. See if I can keep grabbing a couple of these. You guys are giving me a lot of questions. I'm going to try to answer as many as I possibly can. Yes. Yeah, Rand Paul used to declare I'm not libertarian. Yes. So there we go. A little bit of that too. You get where I'm going. Thank you for that. Yes. Who is the bigger socialist, Bernie or AOC? I actually think it's Bernie. And I say that because I think Bernie has been through it and is still there. I actually think AOC, over the course of time, may actually change her mind. Depends on what happens with her in her life, right? If she actually gets a lot of what she wants and she sees it still doesn't help her friends, her family, where she's come from, she has a chance of actually changing, going, you know what? Maybe this isn't right. There's a chance that she'll change. Bernie ain't never changing. Bernie's never changing. AOC may not change. I'm not saying AOC won't change or will change. I'm saying she might. There's a chance for AOC to see the light, and she might actually do this. Bernie, done. Bernie's like, no billionaires. No, don't do it. But AOC is still thinking about that. She's not sure if that should actually happen. She's saying that stuff because it's cool, and Bernie's saying it, and it gets her what she wants. But does she actually believe it? No, she's not in. She hasn't been in it long enough to actually believe this stuff as deeply as Bernie does. Bernie's a true believer. She is not. So I think that means Bernie is a bigger, I guess, socialist than AOC. AOC is a socialist. Again, this is levels. Larry, do you plan to be a lifelong New Yorker? I don't know. The reason why I ran in the first place is because I was planning on leaving. For those of you who don't know the story, in 2016, 2017, I was finished with New York. I was like, this place is a disaster. My company's a problem. I spend all this money on taxes. My home, for those who don't know, I live in New York City in Queens. And my entire lot for my house is 20 feet by 100 feet. Yeah, 20 feet by 100 feet. That's my entire lot. My house, to get to my backyard, which is a postage stamp backyard, right? You can probably fit, 3 cars total in my backyard. That's how big my backyard is, right? That's my backyard. You can't get to my backyard without going through my house because my neighbors touch, right? There's no way around my house to the backyard. Backyard is through the house. That's how you get to the backyard. So that's where I live. The amount of taxes I pay to live in that postage stamp of a house. So I was thinking, I'm out. So I actually went to North Carolina to look for a place to live. And I was considering moving outside of Charlotte. For what I do or did until His Majesty King Andrew II, oh hail the king, deemed me non-essential. Until it happened, what I did was I would consult with larger businesses, teach in larger schools, So I require a large city to do what I do for a living to make my money. So that's one of the reasons why I live in New York City. Biggest city, all my customers are here, right? So why wouldn't I live here, right? It's how I make my money. I pay my bills on that. Of course, I'm going to live next to where I pay my bills. Makes sense. Well, I was going to go to a large city, which was Charlotte. It's a large city down south. Then when I went there to check it out, I could sell my home here and buy a mansion down there, pay less taxes, better lifestyle. I got angry, got mad. Why does my state suck? Why do I have to leave my friends, my family, where I'm born, where I have my business? Why do I have to live there? Why do I have to leave? Why? Because my state sucks. No, I'm going to do something. And I ran for governor, hoping I could do something. That didn't work out as well as I'd hoped, clearly. So if I plan on running again, I'll probably stay. If I don't, I may not. There's odds. I might move. Who knows, right? My daughter will be leaving high school in a couple years. Who knows? So I don't want to promise that I'll stay or not. I don't know. If I run, obviously I'll stay because I'm going to try to fix it. That means I'm trying to fix it. So I'm going to stay. But if I don't run, I might be like, you know what? Maybe it's time to go. Who knows? So I hope I answered your question. So excellent point. AOC is very young and her drastic life change in the past few years may change her mind. Yes, that's my point, right? She may be salvageable, if that makes any sense. That might be true, right? That might be true. I'm unsure. Yes. Let's see if I can grab a couple more if I can. It's scary that Biden's talking about doing a shutdown COVID. He will shut down the economy. Will it work? Shut down the virus? Who knows? But it'll be brutal for businesses that are already hurting. Yeah, it won't affect the virus at all. The virus is still going through, though we've been through shutdowns here or there. It's still going to hurt us. The virus is not going to go away. It's a real thing. It's going to hurt us. So why add insult to injury and destroy everything for the future? Destroy our future too. If our present is going to be hammered, why in the world would I punish our future too? I don't get it. Yes. I don't get it. Yes. All right. I don't believe in collective punishment. Yes, I'm with you on that. Under a whole lot of that. Yes. Yes. I hate mop gear and training in PT. Yes, for those who know what mop gear, it's mission orientated protective something, mop, MOPP, right? That's what mop gear is about. It's what you wear when you have to function in a contaminated environment. Julian's right. Yes, you do PT, physical training in it. Why? Because you got to fight a war in it, and we would do that. We'd actually put full mop 4 on, and we'd be out in the field doing exercises, trying to survive, firing our weapons, everything, trying to function in that environment. Yes, I hated it, but I did it. And clearly you did too, because you were taught the same thing I was taught. You don't surrender because it's a contaminated environment. You still fight. It's harder, but you still fight. Yes. We've had a pandemic long enough in New York. It's called the Cuomo virus. Ooh, I like that, Andrew. The Cuomo virus. That's good. Yes. The Cuomo, I like that. Yes. I just saw a study showing gyms are 500 times safer than other public spaces. Only 0.0023% of gym check-ins end up in the case of COVID. Yeah, Don, this is a really important point that we didn't know what was going to work and what wasn't going to work. This goes back to the earlier point that people were talking about. The schools, they were supposed to be super spreaders. They're not. Clear. CNN says it. Everybody says it. They were not super spreaders. The subway, supposed to be a super spreader. It's not. Everyone says it. It's not a super spreader. It's not. What's one of the worst ones? Big box stores. What do we keep open? Big box stores. Yes. One of the worst spreaders are big box stores. And what do we keep open? That. We did exactly the wrong thing. Absolutely. Exactly the wrong thing. That's the problem. Right? And imagine for a second if we had just done this. Pam asked what I would do as a governor or president. The first thing I would do is be forward with the American people. If I knew what happened, I would say so. But assuming I didn't, right? I wasn't sure, which is what most of us were not sure. It's whatever, January, February, and we're not sure yet. We haven't done the homework yet. We don't know. What I would say is, guys, we had a virus hit our shores. We're not sure exactly whether these masks work or not. We don't know if quarantining right now is going to work or not. We're not sure. Here's what we think is going to work. And as we find more information, I'll give it to you. As I find out, I'll give it to you. But until then, Here's what we believe is true. And we're going to put this on our website, whatever, whatever, covid.gov, whatever the thing is, right? Here it is. And if you have stuff, please, here is the people we're going to be looking to for more information. Again, it's going to be the CDC or the American Doctors. Is there a Doctors Medical Association? American Medical Association. We're going to look at these people, right, and see what they have to say. And we're going to put their information up too, so that you're up to speed with what we know to be true and what we think and what we guess will work with the information that we have. That's what I'd be saying. Doing that, you know what would have happened? And I know this would have happened. We would have started to do things to prepare ourselves already. How do I know this? For those of you who are watching, it happened in New York City before the mandate. The mandate happened in March, but in February already, people were thinking about, how do I do it? They were starting to have the 6 feet between each other voluntarily with no rules. They were doing it on their own. They were putting up plastic and plastic barriers when they were handing out money and such. They were doing this already. It was beginning to happen. Some people, because for those who don't know, East Asian communities and East Asian culture, many people have already been wearing masks, right? And if you have a city like New York City, we have a large, a Chinatown or a Koreatown. We have both in New York City. If your town or city has that group, a group where East Asians are, the odds are you saw many of the people in those communities already wearing masks before COVID, because in East Asia they had, right, was it bird flu? They had SARS, so they already had those. So masking in their culture was very common. In New York, you see Asian people all the time, East Asian people all the time wearing masks before COVID. It's very common thing you'd see in the street, just wearing one, whatever. They would do it already. Well, we were already starting to copy that here in New York City. It was beginning to happen already on its own, without anything. If we would have done that, Don, by now, we would know what works and what doesn't work. And the gyms would be open. The big box stores might not be. And maybe the smaller stores would be open. The big box stores would have to act more like smaller stores so they could be open. Or you wouldn't go, because you'd see that's where you're getting all the COVID from. Because what I always demand, I demand as a governor or president, demand one thing from all my government, all my local government employees, all my government offices. One thing I demand: transparency. That's it. Do as you must in your local community, but you must be transparent so that everyone can see what you're doing. Because if it's screwed up, we don't want to copy it. If it's working, we want to copy it. So transparency and let people work. You get magic. This wouldn't have happened, Don. It absolutely would not have happened. So, all right. Fauci said today it will last at least until August, September. Yeah, I don't doubt he thinks that, and I can't see it happening. We're going to rebel. Excuse me, we're going to rebel slowly. We're going to rebel, and there's going to be, those Staten Island guys. There's going to be 10 of them, then 20 of them, then 30 of them, then 50 of them, then 300 of them. It's going to happen eventually. So at one point, government's going to get scared and go, you know what? We can't arrest everybody. Fine, we'll change. I think it has to happen eventually. I hope within the first 3 months of next year. That's my hope. I'm not sure that's true, but that is what I hope. So COVID-19 and riots made a solid case for better budgets, bipartisan uselessness in Congress, two-way school choice, and immigration. Yeah, I think for those who were on the border, Julian, for those who were like, guns suck, I think they still think guns suck. For those who are like, public schools, everything, I think they're still going, just make better public schools. We've been trying it for 40 years, been failing, but this time it's going to work. I think a lot of people who are hardcore got harder. I think with those who were in the middle, I think you're right. They were like, you know what? Maybe this isn't right. I think the people in the middle, I think, yes. I think I think the hardcore people, I'm not sure they were changed. I don't think so. So, ever been to Mississippi? What's up, Don? So good seeing you, brother. I'm glad you're watching. I don't think I have. Have I? I might have driven through it once. I don't think I've been to Mississippi. I've been in Louisiana more than once, Florida more than once, Arkansas, Texas multiple times, Tennessee and Kentucky. So I think all around Mississippi, Georgia. I don't know if I've been to Mississippi. That's good. I don't think I have. I think I haven't. I've been to probably every state around it. Now I have to go. See, Don, what you did? That's your fault. Now I got to go. All right. There we go. Now I got to go. Larry needs to start gaming on Twitch. Is that what it is? I got to start gaming now? Maybe I do. Yes. That is my Twitter. It is at Sharpe Way. Thank you so much. Yes. And there we go. From Twitch. Good to see you on Twitch. AOC is on here, and it's painful. Thank you so much, Logan's Game 123. See, I am on Twitch. I'm young now. Well, maybe not, but at least I'm twitching. There we go. How to give a Twitch follower. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Absolutely. Thanks for being an amazingly Larry Sharpe. Thank you, brother Fred. Thank you so much. Fred the man, how are you? I love that look, man. That's a good look. Look at you on TV and stuff. She's looking good. I like that. Yeah. How are you, my friend? Good seeing you. All right. The study of cultures. Yes, absolutely. That was the piece of anthropology that I enjoyed the most. I enjoyed that tremendously. Yes. Thank you, Larry, for speaking the truth. You keep things clear and in perspective. I hope so. I'm trying very much to do that to the best of my ability. You'll see often that I will take on any subject. I don't back away from it because I don't want you to think that I won't tell you what I believe. The most important thing, many of you disagree with me, often. But you know that even if you disagree with me, I'm never going to force my view on you ever, Sherry. I'm never going to force it. I'm going to hope that you accept what I'm saying as good and you do it. But you might not. But even if you don't, I won't stop you, and I hope you won't stop me. And eventually we'll figure out and we'll find our own truth, and we'll find our happiness in making that happen. I can have any of you angry at me. You can get around that. We can work through that. It's very hard if I have any of you not trust me. There's a big difference, right? If I say something you don't like, you can be mad at me. That jerk Larry said that thing. I don't like him, or I don't believe him. He's wrong, or it could happen. But then we can keep talking. If you keep watching, you know what? Fine. Larry's wrong on this and he's wrong on that. But he's not a bad guy. Fine. I'll listen to him. But if you don't trust me, you go, that guy Larry's a liar. I don't trust him. And we're done. You're never going to believe me, talk to me, deal with me. You don't trust me. How do I get trust back? I mean, you can. But man, it's hard. Anger, we can get over. We can walk through it. Disagreement, we can get through that. Trust? Hard once you lose that. So I go out of my way to just speak the truth, what I believe is true. I don't have to remember anything. Forget some guys. I do this show every night, live, no notes. I just do it. I did my entire year and a half running for governor, live, no notes. I did my debates with no notes. I just did it. I just said it. I never had to worry about this. I followed a Gary Johnson model. Now, some of you hate Gary Johnson, but I love Gary Johnson. I followed a Gary Johnson model, which is don't lie. You don't have to remember anything. Just tell the truth. It's always the same thing, right? So thank you for noticing. I'm trying my best to make that happen. If I'm unsure, I say it. And if I'm wrong, I'll be wrong sometimes. And I've changed my mind. Some of you have watched me change my mind literally on this show. As I walk through something, I go, oh, you know what? I'm wrong. I have been wrong before. It's rare. But it does happen. When I'm wrong, I change my mind. It does happen. Absolutely. Yes. All right. In advance, any advice for Libertarian in Georgia for the upcoming runoff election? None of the candidates have earned my vote. Yes, I do have some. Talk to Shane Hazel. Shane Hazel is a Libertarian candidate who made that runoff happen, right? He got, I think, 3%. I may be off. 2 or 3% he got, and that stopped anyone from getting a 50%. So, yeah, I would talk to the man himself, Shane Hazel. He was on my show. He was on my Libertarian Drinking Coffee live show, for those of you who want to check it out. You can go to his webpage, check him out. Twitter him. Not Twitter him. Tweet him. Sorry, I'm old. Tweet him. Tweet at him and say, hey, who should I vote for? I think Shane knows better than anybody. I would ask him, right? I'd ask him. That's my view. Ask Shane what he thinks and go down his road. That would be my opinion. If it were me, that's what I would do, right? I'm not Georgian, but if I was Georgian, I would literally, Shane, what's up, man? Which one of these guys? Or should I just stay home? Tell me what I should do. That's what I would do, yes. Twitch is a better place to view versus Facebook due to your phone having to be set and open on one app. Oh, okay. There we go. I love it. So Twitch is good. See, I didn't realize that. I love that. My purpose in college was to acquire knowledge. I didn't have and build on the knowledge I already had. I love that. That's awesome. I love that one. Spotify is the best for new music. That's true also. Yes, Spotify is rocking it. Absolutely. Yes. All right. Larry, what's your opinion on the marijuana decriminalization bill that just passed in the House? I think it's an awesome idea. I don't think it's going to pass in the Senate. I don't. I wish it would, but I don't think it will. I think it's great that it's happening. I think it's great that we're making it happen, that people are seeing it. It's good for the future. It lets everyone know that without question, it's happening. So the good and the bad. The good is it's happening. The bad is Congress is going to give just enough time to ensure that big business, big pharma, big tobacco, big alcohol, big insert thing here will be able to take advantage of this so that they can make sure that all little guys get crushed and that all marijuana goes through large organizations, big businesses. That's the bad part. But the good part is it's not going to happen. I learned more from the newspaper to help me with my work than the actual college experience. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Yes, for those of you who don't know, NeoSage is my business. For those of you who care, by the way, for those of you who are looking for new businesses, looking for a career change, feel free to go to my NeoSage YouTube page. There's a bunch of videos in there free. They'll give you some ideas what to do. They're good for anything from sales, changing your resume, looking for a job, all that stuff. Feel free to go there. It's the NeoSage YouTube page. Please enjoy. I hope it will help some people who are doing that kind of thing. Absolutely. Networking is the best college benefit. Yes. Yes. Very true, Ellen. Most people don't get that. Networking is critical. About 80% of all new jobs since the crash every given year are somehow gotten through networking, through relationships. So yes, absolutely. Yes. Would you encourage us to walk through the streets with an AR-15 strapped? I would not. I would not encourage that. Don't get me wrong. It's your right if you want to in certain states, not every state. Like New York State, the Second Amendment is the second suggestion in New York State, in case you guys didn't know that. We don't actually have a Second Amendment in New York State. It is the second suggestion. That's how our governor, our Lord and Master, our King, Andrew Cuomo II, oh, hail the King, he has deemed that the Second Amendment is the second suggestion in New York State. So maybe not in New York, but I wouldn't, because, again, I want actual change. I don't want to make people afraid. You know, a lot of people get mad when I say that. They go, Larry, maybe people should be afraid. If you are libertarian or liberty-leaning, either of those two, realize something. Most of the things that you hate, that you fight against, that you rebel against, came because of afraid Americans. War on drugs, afraid Americans. War on poverty, afraid Americans. Gun control, afraid Americans. Everything war on terror, afraid Americans. Every single thing that you are against, COVID lockdown, afraid Americans, is because of afraid Americans. People who are afraid make bad decisions. So my goal is to not make them more afraid. That's one of the things I'm pretty good at in general, not making people afraid. I don't want you to be afraid of me because you'll make a bad decision. And if it's government, it will affect me. So I would like to not make you afraid and instead give you some real answers. You can take those real answers and hopefully use them versus being afraid and make another bad decision and making another war on, right? A war on this, war on that. Yes, I'd rather not create more wars on stuff that will make things bad. It's not a bad idea. All right. You made a point, Larry. If we're going to bail out college loans, might as well make it free. Yes. And again, I don't want to make it free. I'm just saying if we're going to bail them out, let's take the least bad answer, right? The least of all the terrible answers. The least bad one is just make a flat fee. The government pays X $1,000 for everyone who goes to college. Just done. Just do it. And then Pete will be going crazy on the debts. $40 billion, $40 trillion. That is going to happen. It's going to happen then. Yes. Absolutely. Let's see if I keep going. I'm shocked he didn't say Cuomo. That's actually funny. Yes, that's actually funny. Yeah. He is taking this seriously, though. I think are you talking about me taking this seriously? I'm trying to. Yes. Cuomo is an angel compared to those real dictators Larry's mentioning. That's true. Yes. Look, Cuomo's a bad guy. I'm not a fan, but the question was the most evil. I mean, that's a big thing to look at, right? The most evil. It's a tough one. Yes, it's a tough one. I would go with Turkey if we're sticking to modern bad. Yeah, it's a good point. Turkey's bad, I mean, they crush Armenians, they crush Kurds. Maybe Erdogan's worse than Central Asian dictators. You're making me think, Kelly, maybe Erdogan's worse than those. Maybe. But again, I was looking at a person. I guess, are you looking at evil as in individually, the individual person being evil, or are you looking at the outcome being more evil? If you're looking at an evil outcome, then I might go back to China, right? Because the outcome of China, the impact of China is massive because of their size. So she might be more evil if you're measuring the outcome of the evil, maybe. But if you're measuring the individual person, I can't see she as being the most evil, right? That's why I was going with Central Asian dictators who literally kidnap people for their own pleasure. But kind of Erdogan, he's the guy who gives the orders to massacre people. So I'm actually moving maybe towards Shelley, what you're saying. Maybe you're right. Again, I'm looking at, is it personal evil or the outcome? Outcome, I could move towards China. Personally, I can't move towards China. I don't think personally she is as evil as some of the others are. Again, she's not a good guy. Levels of. So, yes. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yeah. Dictators focus on expansions and to be less brutal than those that isolate and see no outside authority. Interesting. So expansion's less brutal. Maybe you think because they're trying to get other people to join their empire? Okay, maybe. I don't know. Huh. Well, maybe. All right. We old people call EDM technopop. Oh, technopop too. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Technopop also. Yes. Any possible going on Kennedy show to talk solutions for New York? She's been going hard at Cuomo. Maybe, right? I really, the reason why I haven't spent that much time pushing to go back into the media has been I didn't want to take any spotlight away from people running, right? I want to make sure the people running had more of a spotlight than me, right? So I was trying to spotlight them. If you've seen my shows, I've been trying to spotlight others because I'm not running, they're running. Now they're not running, maybe I'll start to go back and look at trying to go back on shows again. There's simply a limited amount of libertarians who are going to get a certain amount of time. And if I start putting my face in there, then someone else's face didn't get seen. And I wasn't running for anything. So I'd rather have someone who's running for something get that time than me get that time, if that makes any sense. I know most celebritarians are all about me. I'm trying to only be about me when I'm running. That makes sense. When I'm running, it should be about me. I'm running. If I'm not running, it's about the people running. It's not about me anymore. So yes, good. All right. Give students tuition assistance when they devote time to help the needy. Oh, it's not a bad idea. So you're not loaning, you're actually paying. For example, free health clinics through churches and nonprofit orgs solves two problems. It's not a bad plan, right? I mean, then you're not actually loaning the money. The kids are working for the money. It's not a bad idea. So would you then, I assume if it's nonprofits, churches and such, you'd have to somehow have them keep track? It's a tougher gig, right? Have government money given out to private organizations. It's a tougher gig, but I get where you're going. I love the concept. You'd have to tweak how that works. But yes, I get the idea. It's not a bad idea at all, having the kids work for it instead. So instead of them having to find a job to work, they would instead somehow work. It's not a bad idea. I mean, if it's got to be government funded, I don't want it government funded, but if it's got to be government funded, I guess I see your point. Or maybe you work for it and if you work for it, it authorizes the loan. That might not be a bad idea either. You know what? Maybe you instead of government paying for it, you authorize a loan, or maybe the government backs a loan if people put a certain amount of work into it. That might be better. It's not a bad idea. I think we have to work on it to find the right way to tweak that thing, but that's not a bad idea. Yeah. Larry, I'm going to try and pitch your Bridget into my dual citizen country of Israel. Yes, Israel doesn't really have bridges where them can be leased. Anything that can be seen from the street, anything. If it can be seen from the street, it works, right? Particularly if you have an industry now, of course, COVID's opposite, but if you have an industry that puts out a lot of if it have an industry that puts out a lot of media, New York City is in a lot of movies and TV. So if you had, say, a Verizon bridge, the Verizon bridge would also be seen every time you do a shot of New York City, right? During the TV or movie, you'd also see the bridge. So that adds a piece to it. But anything that can be seen from the road, right, it just has to have that ability. Or anything mentioned on the news, right? So does the news in Israel, do they talk about the military bases on a weekly or daily basis? Do they say, oh, the traffic going into the bases is bad or hard? Do they say, oh, port workers don't have to come to work today, or port workers do have to come to work today? If they have any of those things, then the port's named after the whatever company there, right? the Pepsi port, or whatever it is. Then you go, they're all going to the Pepsi port, or don't go to the Pepsi port today, it's closed. So anything that's mentioned on the news often, or that can be seen from the street, this style can work. Absolutely. Anything can work. Yeah, arenas, streets, public buildings, schools, and then, of course, taxpayers also works. Yes, absolutely. 100%. That also can work. Absolutely. Let's see. I feel like the establishment of the DNC might change AOC. That's another point, Paul, right? As she becomes more of establishment, she isn't yet. But as she becomes that, she might become like the rest of the machine. And the machine isn't socialist, right? The outskirts absolutely are. The up-and-comers absolutely are. But the machine isn't socialist. The machine is old school. Right? The Democrat machine is old school Democrat, right? That's what the machine is. But the young coming in, they're socialist. It's absolutely true. But she might become a machine, and then, well, we don't really want that. And yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So, all right, guys. It's been a couple hours. I want to say thank you so much for all the time and energy you guys put into this. I appreciate all the comments that you guys put up. I really do. I appreciate all the questions you asked. Thank you for watching also on Twitch. I appreciate that too so much. As always, if you can support the show, please head over to patreon.com/Sharpe Way. Whatever you can give is awesome. $10, $100, $100, whatever you got. If you got those big dollars, $100 is awesome. If you don't, no worries. If you can't do that much, no worries. You can head over to theadvocates.org. Share that thing. It makes my sponsors happy. It doesn't cost you a dime. Makes me and my sponsors happy. Share that for free to support the show. And of course, like, comment, and share. Always helps no matter what. And it's free for those of you I know who aren't in the best positions right now. Guys, thank you so much for today. I will see you all tomorrow.